the calling hidden in chaos, awakening as one of God's duality ambassadors. I want you to take a deep breath before we begin. Not just a normal breath, but the kind of breath that asks your soul to show up. Right now in this moment, you are not just a person watching a video or reading some words. You are a soul standing on the boundary between light and darkness, between the seen and unseen. And if you found your way here, it's not random. It's never random. What if I told you that only a small hidden percentage of humanity, about 1%, has been chosen, or perhaps has chosen before birth, to become something far more than spiritual seekers? What if you are among the 1% selected to become a duality ambassador, a bridge between the extreme, the divine, and the human? Extremes of existence, a soul capable of holding both the fire and the water, the silence and the scream, the divine and the human, at the same time. Would you believe it? Let's get something straight. Being among God's 1% doesn't make you better, holier, or more advanced than others. It makes you responsible. It makes you awake in a world that profits from people being spiritually asleep. It means you feel more. You question more. You suffer deeper. You love harder. You can't just go through life on autopilot because something inside you won't let you. And that something is your calling. It's your soul's memory whispering, "This world is not your final home. You came here to do something radical with your existence. You came here to walk into the fire of duality and not burn. You came here to feel both the agony and ecstasy of life and stay present through it all. You came here to help humanity remember that opposites aren't enemies, they're the ingredients of transcendence." And if that resonates even a little, then keep listening, because I'm about to reveal the 7 signs that prove you're among the rare few chosen to walk this path consciously. The first sign is the unbearable tension between extremes that lives inside you. You're not just someone who feels conflict, you embody it. One part of you wants to escape the world and meditate in silence forever, while another part wants to build something massive, change the system, shake the earth. You feel both the desire to forgive and the urge to rage. You are both compassionate and ruthless. And for most of your life, you thought this meant you were broken, inconsistent, unstable. But what if that inner war wasn't a flaw? It was a feature. What if you were designed to hold those contradictions, not resolve them? Because only by holding them without judgment does true spiritual power emerge. This is why many duality ambassadors feel like they're being pulled apart from the inside, because they are. Not to be destroyed, but to be stretched into the shape of something divine. The second sign is that you've suffered in ways that don't make sense. Your childhood may have been filled with unexplainable pain. You may have faced betrayal, abandonment, loss, or inner darkness that seems disproportionate to your external life. Why? Because your soul agreed to carry a portion of collective karma, pain that isn't just yours, but belongs to humanity. You are a transmuter. You're not just healing your own wounds, you're healing ancestral wounds, societal wounds, spiritual wounds. And that means your suffering has always been sacred, even when you didn't know it, even when it broke you, especially when it broke you. Because in those moments of collapse, something ancient was being activated in you. The wisdom of lifetimes, the strength of a soul forged through realities far beyond this earth. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. The third sign is a relentless craving for truth, even when it hurts. You can't stand lies, not just external lies, but internal ones. You have an almost painful sensitivity to inauthenticity. You sense when someone's words don't match their energy. You get sick when you try to pretend. You can't fake joy. You can't pretend to belong. You can't force yourself to chase what others call success, because there is something in you that demands truth, and that craving has cost you. Friendships, careers, relationships, it's all been burned on the altar of your authenticity. But here's the thing, that fire is sacred. It's the same fire that burns in prophets, seers, mystics, and revolutionaries. Because only those who refuse to lie to themselves can ever become vessels for divine truth. So if you've lost everything but kept your truth, you've actually gained everything that matters. The fourth sign is you see through systems like glass. Society's rules, traditions, and institutions often seem like a game to you, a game everyone else is playing but you can't unsee. You see the illusion in politics, the manipulation in media, the emptiness in consumerism. You question everything, and it makes people uncomfortable because your presence disrupts the status quo, not because you're trying to, but because your very vibration carries the blueprint of a higher reality. You didn't come here to fit in. You came here to remember, and then help others do the same. That's why you've always felt like an outsider, because you are. Not in a way that separates you from the world, but in a way that prepares you to transform it. What if your outsider status was actually your initiation? What if the reason you've never belonged is because you were born to lead a spiritual rebellion? The fifth sign is you've touched the infinite, even if just for a moment. Maybe it was during meditation. Maybe it was in nature. Maybe it was in the middle of heartbreak, when your ego shattered and something larger flooded in. You've had moments, brief flashes, where the veil lifted and you remembered. You remembered you are not this body, not this name, not this story. You felt the interconnectedness of all things. You felt the love that holds the universe together. And even though the moment passed, it changed you forever. Because now nothing else satisfies. You've tasted the real, and everything else feels like a shadow. And that hunger, that holy dissatisfaction, is the proof that your soul has been activated. It's the divine ache that keeps you seeking, not because you're lost, but because you've seen something too sacred to forget. The sixth sign is you're being called to walk alone before you walk with others. Many duality ambassadors go through a season of isolation, not because they don't love people, but because the noise of the world drowns out the voice of the divine. You felt a pull to withdraw, to unplug, to go inward. And it can feel like death, like losing everything familiar. But in that silence, something begins to emerge. You begin to hear your real voice. You begin to feel your own frequency, uncluttered by the world's expectations. And that solitude becomes sacred. It becomes your training ground. Because only those who can walk alone without losing themselves can walk among the masses and not forget who they are. So if you're in that season now, trust it. It's not punishment. It's preparation. And finally, the seventh sign is you feel called to serve something far greater than yourself. You may not know what it is yet. You may not have the words. But deep in your bones, you know you're here for something big. Not ego big, soul big. You want to help. You want to heal. You want to awaken. Not because it's trendy, but because your soul literally won't let you do anything else. And the more you try to ignore that call, the louder it gets. It's not a career path. It's not a brand. It's a sacred mission. And the moment you say yes to it, fully, with your whole being, the universe begins to rearrange itself around your decision. Doors open, people appear, synchronicities flood in. Because when one of God's 1% remembers who they are, the entire cosmos celebrates. The sacred blueprint of a duality ambassador why you were designed to hold what others reject. There's a reason your life has never fit inside the neat little boxes the world tried to hand you. You were never designed to follow the conventional path. You were built from the beginning with a sacred architecture, one that could stretch across dimensions, one that could withstand the unbearable friction of opposites and remain intact. You weren't made to pick a side. You are made to hold both sides. That's what a duality ambassador is. That's what you are. You are the one who enters the battlefield of opposites, not to destroy either side, but to embody the truth that both are expressions of the divine. You weren't meant to live in black or white. You came here to become the full spectrum. And that's why your journey has been so difficult, because you are being forged into something the world has very little language for. You weren't being punished, you were being sculpted, prepared to carry a vibration that most minds can't comprehend. And now you're being asked to remember the ancient blueprint within your soul, the one that knew before birth that you would be capable of holding what others reject. Look at your life. Look at the patterns, the people who came and went, the contradictions, the moments you were both the healer and the broken, the teacher and the student, the sinner and the saint. That wasn't chaos. That was curriculum. Every contradiction you've lived was a coded lesson in how to become a bridge. Every wound taught you how to hold others in their pain. Every loss taught you how to love without attachment. Every joy taught you how to expand without ego. And every time you found yourself torn between extremes, the universe was whispering, stay with it. Don't run, hold it, let it teach you. Because in holding those extremes, you awaken your true power, not the power to control, but the power to integrate. This is the power that dissolves illusions, the power that ends inner war. The power that lets you walk into the world and become a living invitation for others to come back to wholeness. And that's the key, isn't it? You weren't sent here to just be healed. You were sent here to be healing. But you can't embody that healing until you're willing to stop rejecting parts of yourself. This is where most people get stuck. They want to awaken, but only partially. They want to embrace the love, the peace, the light, but not the rage, the grief, the shadow. But a duality ambassador doesn't have that luxury. You must be willing to sit with your darkness and not flinch. You must be willing to hear your own ugly thoughts without identifying with them. You must be willing to love the part of you that still wants to run away, manipulate, seduce, or hide. Because you cannot offer wholeness to the world if you are still at war within yourself. You must become the kind of person who can say, yes, this pain belongs, this fear belongs, this ecstasy belongs, this confusion belongs. And when you can hold all of that in your body without collapsing, that's when you become medicine. That's when you become a living transmission of integration. Not because you're perfect, but because you're whole. And wholeness is far more powerful than perfection will ever be. You see, God's 1% are not chosen because they're better. They are chosen because they are willing. Willing to feel what others avoid. Willing to see what others deny. Willing to walk into the middle of chaos and hold a vibration of peace so steady that it begins to reprogram the field around them. Every time you choose presence over panic, every time you choose curiosity over judgment, every time you choose to stay when it would be easier to run, you are doing sacred work. You are anchoring a new template into the human collective. That's not a metaphor. That's literal. Your nervous system, your energy field, your consciousness, they are becoming instruments through which divine balance can enter the world. And that's why your journey has been so intense. Because before you could stabilize others, you had to learn to stabilize yourself in the middle of internal earthquakes. That's what you've been training for. Not to escape the world, but to inhabit it as a force of sacred coherence. You are becoming the field that transforms the field. So I ask you now, can you begin to see your life through the eyes of your soul? Can you see your heartbreak not as failure, but as initiation? Can you see your confusion not as weakness, but as the sacred space where wisdom is born? Can you see your contradictions not as flaws, but as proof that you are large enough to hold multitudes? This is your blueprint. This is your sacred design. You are not here to be one thing. You are here to be the whole thing. You are here to walk the razor's edge between opposites and make it holy ground. And the more you embrace that, the more your life begins to align, not because it gets easier, but because you stop resisting your nature. You stop apologizing for your depth. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop pretending to be anything less than the bridge between dimensions that you were born to be. And when that happens, everything changes. The ritual of remembering how to activate your role as a conscious bridge between worlds. There is no ceremony with drums and incense when you step into your role as a Duality Ambassador. No external ritual will ever match the moment you decide, quietly and fully, to remember who you are. That remembering is inward. It's not a flash of light or a voice from the heavens. Though those things may come, it's a deeper movement, a sacred yes, a surrender not to any religion or system, but to your own essence. You activate your role not by becoming something new, but by removing everything that is not truly you. The masks, the personas, the stories you inherited about your worth, your limits, your path, they must all be gently peeled away, and underneath them, something ancient and luminous waits, a presence, a knowing, a frequency that has always been there. It's the part of you that has watched every breakdown, every awakening, every collapse, and every rise with unconditional patience. That presence is your access point. That's where you begin. But remembering who you are isn't a one-time revelation. It's a ritual you perform in the silence between distractions. It's the way you love yourself when no one is watching. It's how you breathe through the tension instead of escaping it. You remember by returning again and again to the still center within the chaos. And this is where the real activation happens. Because as you return to that center, something begins to shift in your energetic field. You become less reactive. You stop needing to defend your truth. You realize that your presence is the teaching. Your peace becomes louder than your opinions. Your groundedness becomes more powerful than your arguments. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to convert anyone. You just are. And in a world addicted to noise, that kind of stillness is revolutionary. It's disruptive. It wakes people up. It changes rooms. It shifts timelines. That's the power of a conscious bridge. You don't just talk about the path. You become the path. And yet, this path isn't easy. Because to be a bridge, you must allow life to stretch you. You will be asked to hold space for both joy and grief, sometimes in the same breath. You will be asked to forgive those who do not apologize. You will be asked to speak truth when it shakes the foundation of everything around you. You'll be asked to love people who are still asleep, still hurting, still projecting their pain outward. And you must do it not from ego, but from essence. That doesn't mean you allow abuse or bypass boundaries. No. Part of your role is to model what sacred boundaries look like, to show that love without self-respect is not love at all. To demonstrate that compassion doesn't mean self-erasure. You're here to live the paradox, not resolve it, to walk with your heart wide open and your spine straight, to be soft and unshakable, to be kind and fierce, to be human and divine. And every time you do, you activate others, just by existing. You see, that's the secret. The world doesn't need more information. It needs more embodiment. People don't need another lecture on love. They need to feel love radiating from someone who has sat in their own darkness and didn't run. They need to stand in the presence of someone who has lost everything and still chose to bless the moment. That's what you're here for. You're not here to be a guru on a pedestal. You're here to be a living example of wholeness in motion. A walking permission slip for others to be exactly where they are and still choose their highest path. But to do that, you must live your truth, not just speak it. You must become so honest with yourself that your very being becomes a mirror. And when people look into that mirror, they don't see you. They see themselves, awakened. That's what a real Duality Ambassador does. They don't make followers. They help others remember their own sovereignty. So I ask you now, and I want you to sit with this, what would your life look like if you lived every moment as if your presence was a portal between worlds? Not just during meditation or ritual, but while washing dishes, while arguing with your partner, while waiting in traffic, because that's where the real work is done. The sacred isn't found only in temples or retreats. It's found in the ordinary when you choose to make it holy. And you do that by remembering, over and over again, you were not sent here to escape the world. You were sent here to infuse it with your presence, to carry the frequency of home into the places that have forgotten it, to walk into the noise with silence in your breath, to walk into the fear with love in your eyes, and in doing so, become what you've always been, a living bridge between dimensions.